Governor, it is always a pleasure. You've got a bunch of young people here, the Armstrong Fellows, somewhere out there. A lot of young fans. Governor, I'm going to make it quick because we've got a lot of people want to go dancing. They're conservatives. 4 questions. I heard you say Obamacare will be repealed and replaced. There are a lot of Republican senators who love the filibuster. Now, Rick Santorum told me you don't need to break the filibuster to repeal Obamacare. But if it's necessary to do so, will you urge your Republican colleagues to invoke the Harry Reid rule that he used last year to break the filibuster to repeal Obamacare root and branch?
Yes, absolutely.
Secondly, we've seen 2 Supreme Court decisions in 2 days disappoint. All judges disappoint. David Souter disappointed the most. How will you find originalists? How have you found originalists who will interpret the law and not make it?
Well, that's a great question, and again, it's one of those where I can do more than talk about it. I can point to my record. As governor, I take that very seriously. I'm not a lawyer. That's worth an applause right there, probably, right? I'm not a lawyer, although there are some good ones, so don't take that wrong, Hugh. But what I've done as my time as governor of the great state of Wisconsin, I take that very seriously because that's a legacy that will far outlast me no matter what the future might hold. And so I put together a group, including a number of folks very active in the Federalist Society in my state and across the country, as well as a number of other legal scholars, to help me narrow the group of applicants for any circuit court, Court of Appeals, or eventually someday a Supreme Court appointment in my state. They narrow it down, they give me a group of finalists, and then I interview them. And key to their involvement and mine as well are 3 simple litmus tests. I want men and women of integrity. I want people who are scholars and understand the law. And most importantly, I want to know that people understand with absolute certainty throughout a very deliberative background process and otherwise, that they understand that the sole role of the judiciary in the states and importantly in the country is to uphold the Constitution of the United States and those laws duly enacted under it, no more, no less.
My third question has to do with something I've been talking a lot about with the young Armstrong Fellows all week and with everyone in this audience.
If I just say Armstrong Fellows, do I get more applause out of that? See, that's pretty good, huh? Okay.
When it comes to religious liberty, I asked Jeb Bush this on my show on Friday. I ask you, are you all in? And if so, what's that mean?
Yes, and in my state, I'm proud to say that it's actually written into our Constitution in great detail. In fact, I remember when some of the other states early this year were having some challenges with the media and otherwise, I pointed out, we've had it in our Constitution for some time, and it's worked just fine, thank you. I think in our nation's Constitution, it may not be as detailed as it is in my state's Constitution, but I was just in Philadelphia last Saturday. You know, Philadelphia, William Penn, the founder of that great Commonwealth, came to America to set up what's now Pennsylvania, in large part because he was a victim of religious persecution. You think of him, people like Roger Williams, plenty of others who were part of the great founding of this country that we call America today. They came here in large part because they were facing religious persecution. To me, it is not freedom from religion, or it is freedom of religion, which ultimately means we have the right to practice our religious beliefs and not have others interfere. We certainly should respect the opinions of others in America, but that in return means they not only respect our opinions, they respect what is written into the Constitution. The very first thing that the founders said should be amended to the Constitution was guaranteeing the freedom of religion. We need a president who's going to stand up and defend that each and every day.
And then finally, and this is a 2-part question, we suffered a data breach 2 weeks ago, the OPM data breach. It's the worst data breach in American history. It's probably worse than Snowden. Millions of records of people's detailed lives, mine, people that I've worked with for years who filed these FS-86. The Chinese have it all. They can get into the witness protection program. They can investigate nuclear scientists. They can find anyone who's got any blackmailable issue. At the same time that happened, Mrs. Clinton was revealed to have a private server in her home. The indifference at the national level, the indifference at the personal level to the national security is shocking. Do you think it's disqualifying? And what does it say about the Obama administration, and will you make Hillary's server an issue in the 2016 election, and if so, how?
Well, you opened a big door for me there. But first off, I just got to say, and this is funny, but I just wish it wasn't funny. It's probably true today that China and maybe even Russia probably know more about what was on Hillary Clinton's server than do the members of the United States Senate, or the United States Congress, I should say. I don't think that's that far off either, because anyone who thinks if they could hack into agencies of the federal government for someone who had a private server that was clearly not secured, and let's just assume for the moment, for the sake of argument, that she didn't have confidential information on, although we don't know, because she has clearly not been fully transparent with what was on there. At a minimum, it was sensitive information. And so I think the American people have got to look at a pattern. I think there's a larger issue than and this alone would be a serious offense in terms of a political issue. But I think it's part of a larger pattern. When you look at this, when you look at parallel to this, the idea that the Clintons could believe that while one of them was Secretary of the State, the other could be doing speeches on behalf of foreign governments and being paid millions of dollars for that. I think any high school freshman taking an ethics course could tell you that's a conflict of interest. When you look at this pattern, what it tells to me is the Clintons think there is a different set of rules for them than there is for the rest of America. And I think that goes to a large issue that says Hillary Clinton is woefully out of touch with Main Street America, and it's about time we stand up and point it out, even if the Main Street media is not going to do it.
Everybody says Scott Walker's a winner. He stood up against everything the left could throw at him, not once, not twice, but 3 times. But Hillary wasn't in the ring. And the Clinton machine is big. They got the money. They got most of the media. They got the map. They've got a machine. So tell us all, tell everyone. I think the key thing I'm going to be looking for when I ask debate questions this fall is who's the Republican best position to take on and beat Hillary Clinton? Why is that Scott Walker?
I'd say 3 quick reasons. And I'm not a declared candidate, but if I were to declare...
If you were to declare.
I give you 3 quick reasons why that would be a good argument if I was a declared candidate. 1, if we're going to beat a name from the past, we need a name from the future. Not a name from the past. 2, if we're going to beat someone who embodies Washington, and Hillary Clinton embodies Washington not just because she's worked there for most of her professional life, but because of things like this email and the cover-up and the scandal. That's what we expect out of Washington. We need someone who's the anti-Washington. And I think if you look at us taking on the big government special interests, most of whom came out of Washington to spend $100 million or more to take us out, we took on Washington not once, not twice, but 3 times in the last 4 years, and we won. So we're the anti-Washington. And three, I'm going to actually answer the question that the gentleman asked me, so that's all right.
I'll get to it.
I'm used to protesters, so this is not uncommon. Probably exported in from Wisconsin. But the third reason, the third compelling argument is that unlike Hillary Clinton, who even when you ask her supporters, they can't identify anything that she's accomplished of substance other than traveling around the world. The contrast with that is that we've actually done something. We've actually gotten something done. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of great Republicans who are fighters. There's a lot of great Republicans who are winners. We fought and won, and we could do that if we were to run.
Hey, I got to ask you. This must be like T-ball for you, is it?
Hey, when you've had 100,000 protesting and death threats in front of your house, 1 or 2 guys shout.
God, that's like softball.
It's like, what's the big deal?
Scott Walker, congratulations, brother.
Thanks.